standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated?
All right, what do you say we just hop right into it? We got a lot to cover today, a lot to get through. We got a special guest joining us in the second half of the broadcast. Philip Ittner is going to be joining us from Kyiv, Ukraine, to give us his insights, his opinions on the disaster in Alaska. That was, probably the biggest attempt at a distraction from the Epstein files yet, because it absolutely didn't lead to peace. It absolutely didn't lead to a ceasefire, and only did, more to help Vladimir Putin on the world stage than it did to help the Ukrainian people. But before we get into everything that we have to cover, so much that we have to cover even before we talk to Phil, let me bring in the chat. Say hi to you fabulous people. I'm Boston Brian. Welcome to Blunt Politics. Thank you so much for joining us. The political podcast that sifts through the bullshit, propaganda, lies of the mainstream media. Donald Trump, the Republican Party, breaks it down for normal, everyday working class individuals like yourself and like me, because that's who's affected by these policies. And I appreciate every single goddamn one of you guys for being here in the chat today. Wes, thank you so much for starting this off in the right way. Blessings and best wishes. Good tidings of great joy. Nothing is really as wrong as we fear. Amen to you. And thank you so much. It was great to see you in the Zoom the other day. I had a lot of fun with you guys. We're in the Zoom. Sorry to Tiff, who had the technical difficulties, but it did make it very entertaining for the rest of us. Thank you so much, Pam, for kicking it off in the right way too with the $5 super chat. You guys can send a super chat, send a super sticker. There is a Venmo somewhere up in the corner, or at least there should be, that you guys can take a picture of with your phones and send a buck or two, bust a buck, try your luck in supporting independent media, which this very much is. Nothing behind a paywall, no ads. I'm not selling you anything. Everything that you see here is produced by and paid for by the viewer, you guys yourself here, or me behind the scenes. So thank you, Pam. Thank you, Wes. I appreciate you guys for starting this off in the right way. Thank you, mods, as always, for keeping that chat a safe place for people to engage in their opinions and actually have in-depth conversations without fear of being, having somebody be bigoted or violent in return. So thank you guys for keeping that chat a safe space. Hamill's in the house. Let's go, guys. What's up, Thomas? Hi, Victoria. How are you guys? Appreciate you for being here as always. Janelle, how are you? Wes, as always. Charlie, Pam, Susie. Who else is here? Michael's here. Moon Girl's here. Jupiter Judy's here. The whole fam damn is here. I friggin' love it. Kelly's here. Robin's here. VD, Cosmic Rose. What's going on, guys? Rita, how are you? Tom, how are you? Roxanne, how are you? Thank you, guys. I appreciate Kella. What's up, Kella? How are you? I appreciate you guys for being here. All right, let's see what else. Let's see just a little bit of what we're going to cover today. Like I said, Philip Ittner is going to be joining us in the second half of today's show. Really excited to talk to him and get his insights on what the hell happened yesterday. He's actually been working very hard on this special episode of On the Edge, special episode Trump and Putin in Alaska. I'm sure he's going to be dying to talk about that. If you guys aren't subscribed to Philip Ittner's channel, I believe it's at Philip Ittner on YouTube, and then you can watch the On the Edge podcast on that channel. But make sure you subscribe to him, because great insights, obviously, being in the area, talking to the people on the ground. So excited to talk to him, but just a little bit of some other things that we'll be covering today as well, right? So let's see if we can dive into this. Donald Trump's got a few crazy statements that he put out this morning, talking about the press. Volodymyr Zelensky has a few things that I want to get into, a couple things that he said yesterday. I probably should say that it is Sunday, August 17th, 2025, just in case you're just watching us or tuning in at a later date. That way you know what show you're watching. But yeah, Zelensky with a few things to say on there. It seems that the European leaders are set to join Ukraine Zelensky for his upcoming White House meeting with Trump, which is set to take place tomorrow. We'll also be taking a look at this ridiculous story of the government papers found in an Alaskan hotel. New details of Trump-Putin summit there, where it was just like specific detailed events and specific locations and times and phone numbers of people, things that you really wouldn't want to leave behind, especially when there's a lot of Russians around. You know what I mean? We'll be taking a look at this. Again, the Daily Beast been doing some great work lately here, and they got a few more here where this is Trump's inner circle drops F-bomb post-Putin Alaska meeting. Michael Wolff actually talks about how during this meeting he received a text message from somebody in Trump's inner circle that just said one word. All it said was fucked. Right? There was no explanation behind it. But I guess Michael Wolff kind of tries to read into what that meant, putting that together with what we saw with our own eyes as far as that disastrous meeting that absolutely led to jack shit happening. There's this video that I definitely wanted to dive into. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but top 5 lies in the Epstein footage. I don't know. What do you guys, is this Coffee's? What's this guy's name? That was Coffeezilla, but it says Voidzilla or something. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with it, but he seems to break this down in a pretty cool way. That may give us a few more insights as to what the cover-up is, what is going on in the cover-up, the government conspiracy going on right now to cover up the video footage that was put out, and also Donald Trump's involvement in these Epstein files. There's also this fucking crazy headline. I mean, if this isn't one of the crazier headlines that you've seen or will see, Team Trump is actually drawing up attack plans for Mexico. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? There's also a 60 Minutes Australia is now calling out Donald Trump's administration as to why they're not releasing the Epstein files. Let's see here. There was a good, is this it right here? I think this was it here. Midas Touch, Ben Mycelis from the Midas Touch Network put out a morning that had several different instances that showed several different times in which ICE was caught abusing people or brutalizing people on the streets recently. So I wanted to see if we could kind of dive into just a little bit of the footage that was caught on, that's being shown in this video here by Ben and the team over at Midas Touch, because there's, I'd say, probably a good 6 or 7 video clips that they show that very well that detail very well the ongoing brutality that we're seeing from these ICE officers, and the brazen confidence that they now have with the backing of people like Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Pam Bondi, Janine Box of Wine, Piero, people like that. So now they're getting confident, they're getting cocky, and you can tell. Because a few of the ICE agents actually say that it was liberals that ruined the city. So that goes to show exactly where their mindset is. There's a video that goes to show a federal agent, touting and lauding the Proud Boys as great Americans. So that's obviously something that we need to talk about. And then just ongoing video from people, again, hashtag film and follow ICE agents. That's why we are getting this footage. That's how we are getting these reports from people like Midas Touch, from people like the mainstream media of the, remember one of the first ones was, I believe, the Marine, the father of the 3 Marines that was getting punched in the face in the middle of the street. Like, this is all due to citizens that feel the need to film what the hell is going on. That way we have documentation. We have, historical references to detail what the hell actually went on during these times in the United States, which are, in becoming ever more increasingly more dangerous times. Because, when you have ICE agents and police officers out there actually saying that liberals were the ones that destroyed things and using that as justification to the people that they either harass or abuse or arrest or deport, we got some serious fucking problems in this country. Not that we didn't before, but I think it's becoming even more real by the day. When you see, these ICE agents again telling us that it was liberals and people on the left that ruined this country, and they're just here trying to save it. And Proud Boys are the ones that we should be thanking and looking up to. It's pretty fucking disgusting stuff. It really is. Hold on, I'm missing. Thank you, Slacks. Thank you so much, Slacks. I appreciate that. The $10 super chat. Slava Ukraini says, love to you, Mel, Dungery Dog Logan. Love to all my fellow Bryantologists, and thank you all for your greetings. Thank you so much, Colleen, as well. Peace, love, and strength to you, Mel and Pup. Thank you all for the work you do. Thank you so much, Colleen. And then thank you so much, Susan, already. So good to see leaders flying in to attend the White House meeting to support Zelensky, Italy, France, UK, Germany, and Finland. Let's fucking go. Amen. Definitely, because, Donald Trump literally just hung Ukraine out to dry, and we'll get into, my thoughts on that disastrous meeting. I don't know if you were following me on social media during the day, but I was trying to keep up with every single aspect of this meeting, and it was just a disaster from start to finish. Again, watching, United States military roll out the red carpet for an internationally wanted dictator that's wanted for murderous crimes of genocide. Is definitely something that is going to stick in the minds, or should stick in the minds, of the American people. The long drawn out handshakes, the Donald Trump patting him on the top of the hand, and the pats on the back, and the well wishes, not taking questions from any reporters, not being forced to answer any questions from reporters, people online actually believing that A, Vladimir Putin didn't hear the questions being shouted by reporters, and B, can't understand English. Like, if you honestly believe that Vladimir Putin can't speak or understand English, then fucking you deserve to be nowhere near these political conversations. I think it's time for you to find another realm that to stick to, because this ain't it. Because I can tell you right now, he absolutely speaks very fluent English, and he absolutely understands English, regardless of who's speaking. Because he heard very well. You can tell in the clips that you saw from the meeting that he heard very clearly what these people were saying. He went to touch his ear. He knew what the fuck they were talking about, but was absolutely not forced to answer any of the questions. You can tell by the shock and like the stunned amazement in the eyes of the reporters in the rooms as we were watching, where they were kind of confused as to what was going on. They definitely thought, and they were told, that questions were going to be taken and people were going to get their opportunity to ask questions of both Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Neither of which happened. It was a disaster at all costs. You could tell by Donald Trump's body language. Even Newsmax, even Fox News was calling this out rightly as the disaster as it was. Newsmax talking about Donald Trump's body language even went as far as to bring in a couple body language experts onto Newsmax and really showed the difference in the body language at the beginning of the meeting towards juxtapose that to the end of the meeting, and when they were shaking hands at the end of the meeting, and Donald Trump's body language then. And it was very telling that nothing came of this. It was just a photo op. It was an opportunity for Vladimir Putin to gain more favor on the world stage, apparently, to make it so that he didn't have to fly over any ICC territories, so he didn't have to face punishment and consequences for his actions over the years. It's fucking, at every turn, it was a disgrace. No answers, no questions taken, no ceasefire. I never even heard the word ceasefire mentioned by Vladimir Putin, by Donald Trump, or anybody in either of their teams all day. Never even heard the words mentioned. We never even heard you remember the reporting that we talked about on the show here, where Donald Trump was set to give up, parts of Alaska's natural resources, pieces of Ukraine's rare earth minerals from the occupied territories that Russia now occupies. Not only that, but lifting American sanctions on Russian aviation industries. Like, I didn't even hear any talks of that, right? So again, you can talk about this as the biggest attempt yet to distract from the Jeffrey Epstein situation and Donald Trump's involvement in that. But we definitely have to take this seriously, and we definitely have to look at this for the dangerous act, for the act of appeasement, for a territorial expansion of a dictator that it was. That doesn't mean we can just blow by all of this and not, kind of dig deep and take a look at, just what kind of ramifications could come from, shaking Vladimir Putin's hand on U.S. soil and then allowing him to roam U.S. soil like he's not an internationally wanted man with a warrant out for his arrest currently, meeting, Orthodox bishops and receiving gifts and grave sites. It was the whole thing was sick to see. It really was sick to see. But why don't we jump into, let's take a look at what Trump had to say this morning, because it seemed like he woke up with a little bit of a stick in his ass this morning, if I do say so myself. I think this is the first one that he put out here. Let me see if I can put this on the screen here. The melted madman here. It's incredible how the fake news violently distorts truth when it comes to me. There's nothing I can say or do that would lead them to write or report honestly about me. I had a great meeting in Alaska on Biden's stupid war, a war that should have never happened. Like, that's what he felt the need to get up and tweet this morning. That was what the president of the United States felt was necessary. And then he goes on to say, if I got Russia to give up Moscow as part of the deal, the fake news and their partner, the radical left Democrats, would say I made a terrible mistake and a very bad deal. That's why they are the fake news. Also, they should talk about the 6 wars, etc. I've just stopped. MAGA. Like, the guy's losing his mind on a fucking hourly minute basis. Like, just every time you turn around and you look back at him, he's worse off than when you fucking turned around the first time. And then he goes on to just post a bunch of, nonsensical, rambling, fucking bullshit, nonsense, memes, and the rest of it. But I did want to take a look at this post from Volodymyr Zelensky. I believe this was yesterday, just after the meeting between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, and apparently Donald Trump had a conversation after, and Volodymyr Zelensky says, we had a long and substantive conversation with POTUS. We started with one-on-one talks before inviting European leaders to join us. This call lasted for more than an hour and a half, including about an hour of our bilateral conversation with President Trump. Ukraine reaffirms its readiness to work with the maximum effort to achieve peace. President Trump informed us about the meeting with the Russian leader and the main points of their discussion. It is important that America's strength has an impact on the development of the situation. And again, we'll go on to further discuss this with our good friend and colleague, Philip Ittner, when he joins the podcast, when he joins the show in about 45 minutes. I don't want to divulge too much of it, but you can tell that, again, as I spoke to our good friend again, Major Ojeda, running for North Carolina's 9th congressional district, about this situation, and he's, we kind of were talking about the line that Volodymyr Zelensky had to toe, the dance that he kind of has to do in order to stay in the good graces of the United States, or at least in the office of the presidency, right? Not so much Donald Trump himself. But it's tough as a world leader. It's tough as a head of state. It's tough as a dignitary there to kind of walk this fine line of what you know to be true and what you want to say, and what you kind of need to say, and how you kind of have to play it on the world stage when going into these meetings, and again thinking about your people over your personal feelings towards somebody else. You know what I mean? So it's a difficult position, and I think he's done a great job thus far of kind of balancing the two things of obviously knowing Donald Trump's a moron, honestly knowing Donald Trump doesn't have the Ukrainian people's best interest at heart, while also knowing that he needs the help and assistance of the United States to continue this fight against Russia. So those are two things that Volodymyr Zelensky has had to, have in one hand, and then the other hand this entire fucking time that he's been dealing with Donald Trump and Trump's administration. You know what I mean? So it's not an easy place to be. It's not something that, I would want a position I would want myself in, especially, you're responsible for your entire fucking country, and the decisions that you make and the things that you say in these meetings could very well go on to affect thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in your country. So it's a fucking lot of responsibility, which is why you can see, I think, the toll being taken on people like Volodymyr Zelensky and others in this war that actually care about the outcome. We talk about U.S. presidents and how they look, haggard and old when they come out of their presidency because of how demanding the job is, because of the times that you're up talking to other world leaders that, are on different time zones, and, just how consequential the decisions that you're making are, and how many people could be affected. Like, it weighs on you in those 4 years that you're in there. And it shows physically, it shows, through the gray hairs or the wrinkles in your face or whatever it may be. But, Donald Trump really didn't see any of that because they didn't give a shit. If it doesn't pertain to Donald Trump, if it doesn't, benefit Donald Trump, he doesn't give a shit. And you can tell that, again, we've talked about that here, where, physically you can talk about the difference, in the toll that it's taken, the physical toll that it's taken on people that care about the situation, and that people that couldn't give a shit less about the situation. But yes, this was good to see, as somebody mentioned in the chat as well, hearing that the European leaders are going to join Ukraine Zelensky for the White House meeting with Donald Trump. Something else that I'd like to get into with Philip Ittner when he joins the show. And then also this, the government papers found in the Alaskan hotel, also something I'd like to get Philip's take on, because what a fucking if there was like a prime example of how incompetent this administration is and how careless and lackadaisical this administration is, it's something like this. And I know this is, just probably bottom of the shelf as far as news is concerned, and it's something that we've come to expect from these assholes and morons. But again, at a summit this important, with people from an enemy fucking territory, an enemy country, coming from their media, from their government, from their fucking wherever, who knows where they're coming from, secret police, secret service that they have. Like, you think you might be you want to be a little bit more careful with the information that we leave behind, that we display to our enemies, that we allow them to see, right? I think I think we can all fucking agree that that's probably the situation. You'd want to be a little bit more careful. All right, but we have, before we get into all of that, again, with Philip Ittner and anything that pertains to Ukraine, let's take a look. I wanted to dive into this because this really caught my eye. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this video's existence. It seems like it's got a little over 1.1 1.1 million views as of 23 hours ago in its posting, 104,000 likes. But this just kind of gives a little bit more detail, I think, in the top five lies from this Epstein footage coming from what was supposedly Jeffrey Epstein's cell the night that he either hung himself or was murdered. Excuse me. My apologies. But this is I think, a very good illustration of the top five lies. So what do you say we get into this, and then we'll see if we can dive into a few more of these discussions before we get into our conversation with our good friend Philip Bitner, who's going to join us in just a few. So make sure you guys hit that like button, share the stream out. I would really, really appreciate it if you did so. Many ways you can contribute. There is a Venmo just at the top of the corner there. You can take just at the top of the screen. You can take a picture of. There's a Patreon at patreon.com/BostonBrian, and you become a channel member just underneath me for about $2.99 a month. You can help this channel grow and help produce the content on this channel. So, all right, ladies, say we take a look at this. I really appreciate you guys. And no, we're not losing sight of the whole Epstein, Donald Trump involvement thing, even though we have to cover different things. We can actually relate them back to this in every single way, because all Donald Trump is trying to do is distract. I mean, this meeting was announced last week so they could give somebody, the media's fucking firestorm something to talk about that didn't relate to Jeffrey Epstein. Well, too fucking bad, Donald. You're not getting out of it. You're not squirming out of it that easy, nor is anybody forgetting about it. Because videos like this continue to drop on a daily basis. More information continues to come out on a daily basis. So what do you say we get into this and see what the top five lies are in the Epstein footage? What do you say? Hit that like button. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your support and help throughout the years. Let's keep this going. This is independent media produced solely by you guys. I sell you nothing behind a paywall. So let's keep this going. I appreciate you guys. Let's fucking rock and roll.
Lies hidden in the government's footage. You can get the raw file on Patreon to explore it yourself, and let's jump into it. Lie number 5, you're going to get a video of the cell.
And you're going to get the video of the cell. And you're going to see for yourself.
And what's funny is this is just like a quick video. This is, I think, something over 8 minutes. Yeah, 8 minutes and 5 seconds. So it's not like a long, drawn-out video. It's just the top 5 lies that people should be calling out if you need something to explain to your family or your friends or people that you're debating against this. The top 5 lies from this specific, the release of this footage specifically. Then this should give you a pretty good rundown, a pretty good blueprint of what to go off on. It's just a quick 8-minute video with great graphics showing you exactly what was talked about and what wasn't shown. So let's see if we can dive a little bit deeper into it. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Kash Patel, the FBI director, told us that this footage was of Jeffrey Epstein's cell, but it's not. Let's fly over to where Epstein's cell actually is. I've marked it with a green door. Down the hall, we actually see a camera marked in red that wasn't recording the night of Epstein's death, which brings us to our next lie. There was only one camera.
There's a video of him.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera.
Deputy Director Dan Bongino of the FBI told us there was only one camera in the special housing unit, but that's
Okay, so that's not true. Let's find out why and how.
not true. There were at least 2 cameras recording and 9 other cameras that were working but not recording due to a malfunction only days earlier. Now, the official
9 other cameras. So 2 were recording. So not just the one that was recording. So it was another camera recording at the time. And 9 other cameras that were on but not recording due to a malfunction. And this says here, recorded video evidence for August 9 and 10 for the SHU area where Epstein was housed was only available from one prison security due to malfunction of the MCC New York's digital video recorder system that occurred on July 29th, 2019. While the prison's cameras continued to provide live video feeds, recordings were only made for about half the cameras. MCC New York personnel discovered this failure on August 8th, 2019, but it was not repaired until after Epstein's death. As detailed in this report, like many other BOP facilities, MCC New York had a history of security camera problems.
report says that recordings should have been made for about half of the cameras, but in Epstein's block, only 2 out of 11 cameras were recording. Really bad luck, I guess. Now, I should say all the cameras were working before that, at a time when Epstein accused his cellmate of trying to kill him, and this was contradicted by his cellmate who said Epstein tried to commit. Epstein later got put on watch for this event, and we should have been able to get that footage, except the prison failed to save the correct file. Prosecutors claim the footage contained on the
just
preserved...
fucking really convenient missteps, really convenient miscalculations, and fucking, just acts of fucking ignorance at every step that just goes along to help this conspiracy go along, right? Just help to feed this conspiracy.
Video was for the correct date and time, but captured a different tier than the one where Jeffrey Epstein was located.
It was only one camera.
So our deputy director lied when he said there was only one camera. There were actually 11. At least 2 were recording. Only 1 got released. And according to our own government's report, 5 or 6 should have been recording, but weren't. When the cameras were working properly, they didn't save the right files. Incredibly unlucky. But lie number 3, there's nothing unlucky about it, because we were told directly that the footage we were going to get showed there was no one there but Epstein.
You're going to see there's no one there but him.
Right. I mean, this is all fucking right on Fox News. He's sitting on the couch in front of cameras, mic'd up. I mean, this is not like fucking things that they're digging up in files that they have to call out. This is Dan Bongino, Deputy Director of the FBI, Kash Patel, Director of the FBI, literally fucking telling you to your face, blatant fucking lies.
Nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing.
The footage just directly debunks this. There are several people who appear in the footage the FBI released, and actually one even appears after lockdown walking up the stairs. The government's report...
That's that one with the big orange fucking blob where you can't really tell if he's carrying a bunch of sheets or he or she is carrying a bunch of orange sheets, or if they're wearing orange themselves. It's kind of hard to tell, obviously, from that one grainy camera angle.
First called this laundry, but independent experts agreed, according to one analysis by CBS.
At 10:38 p.m., the report says someone, probably Noel, carries a bundle of bedding or clothing up the stairs. It's a rare instance. The video.
And this is the video that we played on this show where we called out where this guy narrates in here, where it's probably, where he says it's probably. There's no fucking probable here. Unless you know definitively, there is no fucking probable. There is no maybe. There is no fucking there likely is, or it is likely this person. Until we know definitively, we don't know who the fuck that is. So enough with this probably is, to our best knowledge is, none of that bullshit.
Does catch movement on the stairs, but barely. Let's see that zoomed in and in slow motion again. Right. Several of the video forensic experts we spoke with were skeptical about the report.
Now, is that somebody carrying fucking the orange bundle of sheets over their left shoulder? Is that somebody in a full orange jumpsuit? Hard to tell.
Conclusion, and thought that the video could be showing an inmate walking up the stairs. Authorities say this was the last time anyone approached his cell block until his body was discovered the next morning. Again, while the video does not contradict that, experts who viewed the video say the limited field of view makes it impossible to definitively conclude that no one used those stairs in that time period.
Yeah. Of course not. What the fuck are you talking about? We're just watching a figure. What do you think? The sheets brought themselves upstairs? What the fuck are we talking about?
We don't know who that is. The government's not clear. And there are also several people who are housed in the same cell block as Jeffrey Epstein.
So the cell on the right being Jeffrey Epstein's cell, and then he's clearly describing the rest of the people that were housed in the rest of these cells that have, clearly good access here.
Which, as we've shown, isn't visible to the camera footage we were given. So that raises questions, and so do the 2 prison guards who were on staff that night and had a view of Epstein's cell. Both were charged with falsifying records on the night Epstein died, specifically with them lying about completing mandatory rounds to check on Jeffrey Epstein the night of his death, despite a posted warning that read mandatory rounds must be conducted every 30 minutes on Epstein as per God. But they did not do that. Instead, they appeared to fall asleep, according to the OIG report, and occasionally browse the internet, where one guard, quote, read a news article about Jeffrey Epstein. So it's just a total lie to say there was no one there but Epstein and no possible suspects. You have several inmates shown on the camera the night of his death. You have one walking up the stairs after lockdown, and you also have guards that just falsified records. But this all brings us to lie.
Now add that on to the 11, if not 13 cameras that were supposed to be working and recording, but only fucking 2 were actually recording, but only the recording from one we got I mean, the whole thing is just fucking. It's just a really a string of coincidences that really help cover this up.
Number 2, the second biggest Pinocchio, and that's where they told us we're going to get the raw footage, so we know there aren't shenanigans.
We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think.
So basically, this is probably the time where they were doctoring that footage, where they were actually recording the mouse movements on the screen. Remember all that bullshit? This is the time when they were probably doing it, where Dan Bongino is on fucking Fox telling me, oh yeah, we're cleaning it up right now, lady. We're cleaning it up. And by cleaning it up, we mean fucking falsifying the whole thing.
There were any shenanigans.
So yeah, I don't think I need to explain why this is one of the most brazen lies. We were told we'd be given a modified and the original footage. Instead, what we got are 2 modified videos because both were edited in Premiere Pro.
Right, so I think we know that one. Let's see this one.
Biggest lie of all, and that's a direct quote from the DOJ memo about what the footage even shows. And it says this, quote, anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the SHU common area would have been captured by this footage. The government's entire case is built on this lie, and that's why it's the biggest, because their whole case for saying no one could have reached him is the idea that this one camera angle shows everything. But let's put Maxwell in our 3D twin and have him walk up the stairs. First, we'll put him on the left side of the staircase, and as you can see, you can barely make him out. However, if we put him on the right side of the staircase, you'll find that you can't see him at all. He's invisible.
So right now he's got his,
so
what I'm assuming is his AI robot that he had. Let me see if I can go back just a second. It's kind of hard to pick up, I'm sure. But if you look, he's actually talking about in the staircase. He shows one of his AI robots, I'm assuming, going up here, and you can see the left arm of the robot. But if that robot were on the right side of the staircase, walking up the right side, you can't see him at all. So the fact that the government wants to say that anybody would be clearly visible is clearly horseshit. Not to mention underneath this camera angle here. Not to mention to the left of this camera angle here. Not to mention to the right where the actual entrance to this fucking this wing is over here, I believe. So you can't even see people entering.
From our view. So there's just obviously a blind spot here, which, by the way, the government already knew because they already admitted in a previous Epstein report saying that this camera angle specifically was a, quote, partial view of the L tier stairway. So it's not a full view. You can't see everything. And as you can see in this excellent CBS investigation, you could actually access this stairway and Epstein's cell from a doorway invisible to the camera.
But with the primary entrance...
That's that door. And the camera that we're talking about is up in this area, closer to where I am on the screen, right? And that door is completely fucking hidden. These being the staircases that we were just talking about, that robot going up. And if he's on the right-hand side, if he walks in this door, hugs that fucking wall, walks all the way up here to the right-hand side, and you'll never fucking know it. And you can retrace that step all the way down. And from that camera angle, you would never fucking know it.
Here, the pathway from the entrance to the stairs is completely out of view of the camera.
Yeah, that's right. You could access Epstein's cell. Our replication of the prison shows the same conclusion. If we have Maxwell walking
this is fucking the footage put out by the DOJ, ladies and gentlemen. This is the questions raised by the DOJ, right? Just fucking more questions than they answered.
The SHU entrance to Epstein's cell, we can't see him from this camera angle, even though if we make the walls transparent, obviously we can see him.
That's what they're really showing. If obviously the walls are transparent, that's what you should be able to see. And then the door here would be leading out until, probably like behind where he's standing behind that wall. So you'd never be able to see anybody.
But in the raw footage, we'd have no way of knowing if somebody walked this direction. This painstaking recreation of the special housing unit can put to bed the top 5 lies from our government about Jeffrey Epstein.
It's a good illustration, right? If people are having kind of a tough time visualizing what is going on with the camera angles and where the camera is and what can be seen, what can't be seen, why you can see certain things and why you can't see certain things. Like, I think that is a good illustration to show, like, okay, this is where the camera is. This is where the cell is. This is why you can't see people walking in. This is why it's a bunch of bullshit for him to say that he was alone and that, everything is shown on this and that it's the raw and unedited footage, right? So the more that we know about this, the more that we continue to bring this up, the more that we continue to raise questions about this night and Jeffrey Epstein's involvement with Donald Trump and Ghislaine's involvement with Donald Trump and the special treatment Ghislaine Maxwell is now seeing, the more we can continue to tie Donald Trump to this situation, as he rightly should be, right? Yeah, so let's see if we can move on. We got about half hour, 25 minutes before we get joined. Oh, and don't forget, Wednesday. This week will be the first week of our new Wednesday 1 p.m. show. We're doing a 1 hour, 1 to 2 show. So I would appreciate if you guys come check out. And we also have that night, our Wednesday night at 8:30 show as well. So come check out Blunt Politics at Wednesday at 1 from 1 to 2. And then again, Wednesday from 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific to 10:30. So Eastern and 8:30 Pacific. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'm trying to get more out there. I'm trying to get my face out there, more shows, more stuff for you to watch. I'm trying to contribute in this society. I'm trying to really contribute and get these wheels turning before midterm so we can really start kicking some Republican ass, right? All right, so I think we got just enough time here for me to dive into this video that was put out by Ben Mycelis and the boys over at Midas Touch there, depicting the brutality, the utter brutality of these ICE agents that we're seeing around this country right now. It's on another level. It really is. With the new budget being passed and the added fucking financial reinforcement that they're now getting, with the rhetoric coming from Donald Trump, Jeanine Pirro, Pam Bondi, with the takeover of DC, and it possibly going to happen in other blue cities. Like, they really are starting to feel themselves, these ICE agents. They really are starting to get a little fucking too cocky. Not that they weren't before, but now they're really starting to fucking not intimidate, but they're antagonizing the groups around them and telling people to fuck off and saying liberals destroyed everything, when before they were kind of staying quiet. They weren't really saying too much. It was more the crowd that was saying shit to them. But they're now starting to get a little fucking cocky, a little fucking too cocky, a little too big for their fucking britches, I'd say. So before we start this, as we always say, fuck ICE, abolish ICE. And let's see if we can get into just a few of these descriptions. This is it's a 25-minute video, so obviously we're not going to have time to do the whole thing. But let's see if we can just play these instances that Midas Touch was highlighting in this video of the brutality here. Let's see here. The videos start, I think, right around the 5-minute mark. Yeah, so let's see here if we can check out this first video. See if we check this out. Appreciate that. Let me make it a little bigger on the screen for you guys. And again, these are just, random acts of violence caught by citizens all throughout the fucking country, of ICE agents overstepping their fucking boundaries, overstepping the Constitution, acting as a political wing, a political arm of Donald Trump's fucking regime. The police force that is, again, I guess, directly fucking loyal to Donald Trump himself in this fucking administration, who's just going to go around and pick people off the streets and blame liberals for shit. So here, this is just one of the latest instances of this. Check this out.
Yo, fuck you. Fuck you.
What's he doing?
Fuck you.
You all right, dude? No. Hey, pull Chris off. Pull Chris off.
Punch him in the face.
Fuck this.
Hey, yo, stop. Back the fuck up. Yo, get the fuck out of this city.
Get out the city,
bro. Get out of our city. Choke yourself out.
We're right here, man.
Come on. Turn it.
Listen, at the end of this video, you can hear the bystanders say, "You're ruining our city." And then the fucking ICE officer, or whoever the fuck they are, says, "Liberals already did that."
Why are you guys here? Do you even have identification on you?
Who are you guys?
What do you guys?
Yo, can we see some
Who are
badge?
you guys?
Can we
You guys the cops? Just shut the fuck up.
Are you?
Who are you?
Yo, why you gotta wear the mask, man? Take your mask off and show me some badge, huh?
You guys are
Bro, it's so easy to be behind a mask.
out of my head, dude.
Yo, let's see some badge. Yo, let's see some badge
Who
work.
are you?
Boys, let's see some badge work.
Do I have to answer to you?
You gotta answer to somebody. So wait, so you guys are just masked?
Do I have
We're
to
just
yeah,
masked
you're
up?
gonna answer
Who
to us.
are you?
Who the
Who
fuck
are
do you
you
think you
guys?
answer to, motherfucker? Who do you think you answer to?
I don't care, my guy.
You don't care what agency?
You don't care.
Bro, what agency you guys with? Are you guys working for the U.S. government or not?
Back the fuck up.
Can I see some badge work?
Back up.
Sir, can I see some badge?
Is the camera on? Is your... Oh, you guys are ruining this country. You know that, right? Liberals already ruined it.
Oh.
You hear him? You hear him? You guys are ruining this country. And then the cop says, liberals already ruined it. You know, and then he's you know, one of them is actually just flaunting a rainbow fucking balaclava right there, as you can see, just to kind of mock the LGBTQIA community, apparently. And then, you know, this goes on to show, they go on to show here and depict fucking several other instances of brutality here. This is, I believe, a known TikToker, somebody known in the LA area for filming ICE raids and calling them out. And this is, I believe, her being ripped out of her vehicle. Check this out.
Play this clip. Now, here's additional raw footage of that arrest. You'll hear her scream, "Somebody call 911." Unfortunately, Donald Trump has taken control over all law enforcement at this point and has turned them into a personal military force against the American people. These are scenes you see in fascist nations. Here, play this clip right here.
Somebody call 911.
Tatiana Martinez is the young woman's name. As you can see there on the screen, I believe it says in this video that she's well known to the ICE agents for, you know, filming and you know, calling out their actions. So here it just seems like a retaliation from the ICE officers for this woman, for this young lady calling out their actions.
If you have any resources, we're calling 911.
In this next video I'm going to show you.
And this goes on to depict another situation here that I'll play. Check this out.
This clip.
I hope everyone
Oh! Jeez, Christ.
back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Bullshit. Back up! That's bullshit! Excessive fucking force! Back up!
Check that out. What the fuck? And if I'm not mistaken, you can actually hear somebody in this video, I think it's this video, where they actually yell, he's a veteran. He's a fucking veteran. He served this country. Check this out.
Back up! Back up! Bullshit. Back up! That's bullshit! Excessive fucking force! Back up! No, this is our
Tear gas.
bullshit!
We're all in gas
He
masks.
does not need to be tackled like that.
USA 2025.
Veteran of this country.
Yeah, you can hear him just say. You can hear him just say in the background there. He's a veteran of this country. Listen. Ready?
I'm a serious. He is a veteran of this country. Bunch of bitches.
Look at this fucking scene, though. Look at this fucking scene. Will you please? USA 2025, ladies and gentlemen. At the hands of Donald Trump, at the hands of Pam Bondi, at the hands of Kash Patel, at the hands of fucking Dan Bongino, at the hands of fucking Jeanine Pirro. USA 2025. Hope you got a gas mask. Hope you guys got some fucking bulletproof vests at home. Because you just heard it from that other ICE agent. If you're a liberal, you destroyed this country. So guess what? Guess who they're coming for next? Guess who they're coming for next?
He's not more for this country than any of you. You fascist thing.
And this goes on. That's not the last one. This is another, I believe, news article that depicts more arrests outside of elementary schools.
They tell me the man was sitting in this red car, waiting to pick up his kid from the school when 3 immigration and customs enforcement agents approached him. A witness named Michelle shared this video. It shows 2 agents reaching in through the driver's side window and grabbing the man's wrists before opening his door and removing him from the car.
I was scared. Yeah, I was scared. And my mom was like, get inside. They're going to take you. I'm like, no, I need to tell the people that.
Smart of this woman not to put her face on camera. You can tell that much. I mean, people are scared for a reason, right? So
The ICE is here and be careful.
Michelle told me about her experience, but did not want to appear on camera because she was afraid of getting in trouble. She says she has a child at Linda Vista Elementary who felt intimidated by the ICE agents.
Even my kids, they knock the door and they're scared. They're like, Mom, check the window first.
Another parent at the school got emotional when she heard what happened.
You shouldn't have to be scared to bring your kids to school because of all this nonsense.
ICE agents took the man away in an unmarked vehicle. San Diego Unified School District had to contact his wife to pick up their kid. Superintendent Dr. Fabiola Bagula told ABC 10 News she did not approve of federal immigration enforcement so close to the school.
Especially in the school, they're 3 years old to 11 years old. They're very little. So to not get picked up by a parent is very traumatizing.
This is the second time ICE has been near schools in
And luckily, as we've seen across the country, superintendents in schools have been doing a very good job of keeping their students safe from these ICE officers and ICE agents, not allowing them to come onto the campus, not allowing them to talk to students, not allowing to have access to them at all. I'm not saying that's happened in every single case, but in more instances than not, these schools are stepping up to do the right thing and not allowing these people and these fucking monsters access to these school campuses and these kids. And it goes on here.
Boulevard, and the dog nearly died. Here, play this clip.
Recently, a high school student was detained while walking his dog. Kimberly Cheng live in Reseda with that part of the story. Kim.
Hi, and some Valley residents are trying to raise money to help that young man who they say would have been a senior here at Reseda High when school starts this week, but is now in ICE custody. They've started a GoFundMe page, which we're working to verify, but so far it's raised more than $17,000. Neighbors are stepping up to help a young man detained by federal agents. A GoFundMe page identified him as Benjamin Marcelo Guerrero Cruz, a rising senior at Reseda Charter High School. A community member who organized the fundraiser.
Remember, guys, the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst. The fucking only the criminals, only the murderers, only the rapists, only the sex traffickers that they're going to be going after, right?
Help with legal services and other expenses, says the 18-year-old was taken into custody by federal agents as he walked his dog in his neighborhood in the Van Nuys area. This Sherman Oaks resident posted to Instagram Friday that she witnessed the raid and said she later made contact with his mother.
The mom calls me a few hours later, hysterically crying, heartbroken, distraught, devastated. She is scared to leave her house. She is afraid for her own life. She's a single mom.
A senior official with Department of...
And that fear is widespread right now. Solely at the hands of ICE, solely at the hands of Border Patrol, solely at the hands of Donald Trump and fucking Tom Homan and Stephen Miller. This is the fear that he's putting in to the eyes of the fucking immigrant population in this country. And even people that aren't immigrants. Legal asylum seekers. People that have been here 15, 20, 25, 30 years. Building a life, a family, contributing to society, paying taxes. It's fucking out of control. Out of fucking control. And it goes on. That's not even it. There's more instances in this video. Like I said, it's about a 25-minute video depicting at least 7 or 8 different fucking instances of outright violence from these assholes, from these thugs. Check this out.
That worker on the moped, just so you can see for yourself. Here, play this clip.
Oh, I believe this was, to detail, this was a different angle of that first one that we saw. Just where the guy in the rainbow bandana and the rest of these assholes said that liberals were the ones that ruined this country. That's just a different angle of that one. Here's a different video depicted. Here we go.
Something wrong with all of you. What's your name? What's your badge number? Could I have your name and badge number, officer? Could I have your name and badge number, officer? Could you have? Could I have your name?
Can I just say this should be the reaction? This should be the reception everywhere these fucking cocksuckers go. Everywhere these motherfuckers go, this should be the reception. If not fucking 10 times worse, if not 10 times more egregious and in their face. Film and follow. Hashtag film and follow these sons of bitches wherever they go. Every single fucking place that they go, if you have the ability to film and follow them, you do so.
And badge number, officer.
Now, here you'll see a traffic stop at 14th and W in DC.
So just so we can get ahead to the footage here, let's check it out.
Authorized officers play this clip. Now, I'm sure you're all.
Let's see if there's any more. I think there's just one more maybe here. Check this out. Oh, this was outside of Gavin Newsom's press conference. So I think that's kind of the examples that they had. But I mean, every single day we get more and more examples of the brutality, of the fucking scare tactics, of the fucking fascism being that's running rampant across this country right now, the bigotry and the hatred, and just how bad shit's kicking off right now in different parts of this fucking country. I mean, when you got clouds of tear gas, veterans being tackled, these people out there saying that it was liberals that destroyed this fucking country. You can see where their mindset is. There was one in there. Did I miss it where he actually thought he played one where there was a federal agent sitting in a truck, and he was actually touting the Proud Boys, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Did I skip over that one somehow? Oh, yeah, here it is. Here it is right here. Check this out.
Oh, perfect. Federal agent. Proud Boys are great guys.
They love the United States.
They love the United States.
Proud Boys? They're great guys.
Oh, they're great guys?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Federal agent. Proud Boys are great guys.
They love the United States.
They love the United States.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
I can't believe.
Here, you'll.
I mean, just if you want to see a little bit into an insight into the mindset of some of these fucking fascist pigs, you get a little bit there. All right, so we got about a little less than 10 minutes before we're joined by our good friend. I don't know if you guys heard this story at all, too. Do you guys see this at all? The Israeli cybersecurity director released on bond after being caught in a fucking child sex sting. And just released back into the fucking just let go freely back into Israel. Reported by several different outlets here. The independent Israeli government official arrested in Nevada on sex crimes operation. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denied the employee was arrested and said he was returned to the country as scheduled. But he was arrested and wrapped up in this fucking Henderson, Nevada police operation. A senior Israeli cyber official working under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has returned to Israel after being arrested in a child sex sting in Nevada and later released without charges. Police in Henderson, part of the Las Vegas metropolitan area, confirmed that Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, a 38-year-old, was among 8 men caught in a multi-agency undercover operation aimed at predators seeking to exploit children online. But just let go, released back into fucking the wilderness, released back into Benjamin Netanyahu's fucking possession. Because Israel gets a pass. Israel gets to do whatever the fuck they want, apparently, wherever the fuck they want, apparently. And nobody can do, I guess, jack shit about it. I guess they're not fucking, there's no crimes that they're, supposedly accountable for. There's nothing they could possibly do to get in trouble, apparently. Fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. And then there's this as well. Let me see if I can put this on the screen, too. I don't know if you guys saw this, but this is 60 Minutes Australia, mate. I'll just show the beginning here. Check this out. Ready?
Coming up. Get there, and I'm all sweaty in running shorts. Donald Trump walks in, hovering and smirking like a Cheshire grin. The president and the pedophile.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
He's been dead for 6 years.
Trump supporters see Jeffrey Epstein as the devil.
But billionaire Jeffrey
He's been dead for 6 years.
We need to release the Epstein list.
I call it the Epstein hoax.
Continues to haunt Donald Trump.
Trump really seems to be hiding something.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
So we're not going to have time, obviously, to get too deep into that, but I would advise you, if you have the time, the energy, or the wherewithal, to definitely check out that 60 Minutes Australia segment there, talking about the why is Trump refusing to release the Epstein files. Again, it's not just the United States that people are talking about this. This is now a worldwide thing. This is now a global thing that people are talking about once again. This is something that people are, again, demanding answers to, and the conspiracy and the cover-up by the Trump administration has only gone on to feed the fire, to fan the flames of this fucking, of this whole thing, of this situation, and continue to make this bigger. And it's not going away. It's not going away. He can try to fucking set up summits and meetings with Vladimir Putin to try to distract. He can try to do this to try to distract. He can try to do that to try to distract. But guess what? Inevitably, it's all going to come back to Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Donald Trump at the end. So this was, I was happy to see that, other people as well are covering things like this, and making sure that it's staying in the spotlight as well, to tell you the truth. Because, the media has a tendency to let this shit go, What's this one here? Mel sent this. Let me see here. Share this tab instead. Make sure you guys can see it. This tow truck driver is a true hero. He bravely took their vehicle while ICE goons were in the midst of kidnapping. Yo, that's what they were chasing? This is the footage that we just played in that Midas Touch video, but they didn't show the secondary clip. This is where they're arresting Tatiana, the TikToker there. So let me see if we can play this and actually get a little glimpse of this here. Tow truck driver actually towing the ICE agent's car away. How fucking beautiful is this? Check this out.
Hey! Fuck you, man! Fuck you! Hey! Fuck you!
He's gone. He's fucking gone. Said, I'm not a criminal. There, she's screaming, I'm not a criminal. I'm not a criminal. He just lost his car, you fat fuck. What happened to your car, you prick? Oh, looks like you'll be walking home. Looks like you got a chance to drop a few of those fucking LBSs. You overweight fucking pig. All right, so we're just a couple minutes away here from our good friend joining us. I don't want to get too angry and upset. So we'll be talking about, make sure you guys hit that like video. In just a few minutes, we'll be joined by independent journalist, war correspondent, Philip Ittner, live from Kyiv, Ukraine, to talk about the ramifications of the Alaska disaster, the summit that resulted in absolutely nothing, and what we can expect from Volodymyr Zelensky's upcoming meeting with Donald Trump at the White House. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 15,000 subscribers. We got to hit 13 and then 14 first, I think. So, we're on our way. We're on our way. I appreciate it. Multiple ways for you to donate. Right above me is a Venmo. You can take a picture of that with your cell phone, send a buck or two, bust a buck, try your luck, and supporting some independent media. This is really and truly independent media. I know a lot of channels out there say it, but they are financially backed by either a corporation, a sponsor, or they hide shit behind a paywall so that you guys are forced to pay to see their content. None of that here at Blunt Politics. None of that. Free and fair. No bullshit. No filter. Nothing behind a paywall. If you guys feel it adds to your day and you are willing to contribute to the show, then that's how we survive. Here we go. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Make sure you're sharing the show. And, without further ado, let's bring on our good friend, Philip Bitner. What do you say, buddy? How are you?
I'm all right, Brian. How are you, man?
You must be tired. I know you've been working hard, my dude. Working hard.
Yeah, me and the entire team. I got a great team of cameramen and editors and support staff. So it's not just me. It's some guys put in some time on this one because
this is what you've been working on, right?
Yeah, this is probably the most ambitious thing that we've ever put together. We invited 10 of our previous guests on to talk for 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever they could spare us, about reaction to Alaska. And it just, and of course, then so you've got to you can't do it before the actual meeting.
Right.
And then that only allows you about 36 hours to, my editor works remotely, so I'm uploading tons of, gigs of video. He's editing, sending it back to me for, some refinement. Then I send him, the notes back to him. And then it was an enormous amount of work this week, but I thought it was important. And
plus the news changes so fast that if you don't get it out
that
in
was
that
the other
short
thing.
period of time where it's hot, then it kind of, it almost seems stale at a period of time where it's crazy that it could happen so quickly in the news cycle. But I appreciate you taking the time out to join us. Lots to talk about, lots to discuss, not only with, Zelensky's upcoming meeting with Putin and what we can kind of expect from that, but also, as you were just discussing, the, I've been calling it the Alaska disaster. I think it's probably Trump's biggest distraction attempt yet from these Epstein files. If you're if you're asking me, because it didn't seem like there was any preparation as to this meeting. Didn't seem like he had any notes prepared. No, even the questions they said they were going to take, they didn't end up taking. Vladimir Putin wasn't required or forced to answer anything from the media. He got his handshake opportunity. He got the opportunity for the United States military members to roll out the red carpet for him. So Putin got everything he wanted. He got to wander freely on U.S. territory like he wasn't and isn't an internationally wanted criminal right now. He got to meet the Orthodox bishop that was giving him fucking gifts at the cemetery. He was having himself a good old time. You could tell. So what was your thoughts of the whole thing in general?
Well, at first I thought it was all about kind of kabuki theater and just kind of performance, which is bad enough because, the president of the United States should not be glad-handing with an indicted war criminal whose country has openly declared war on the United States. But, there he was, and, the photo op aspect of it and the kind of just the leading Trump around by his nose and all of that. And I mean, the American side, the delegation made up of absolute hacks and amateurs. And then the Russian side being basically seasoned pros and running circles around the Americans is just an absolute embarrassment. And I've thought about the performative nature of it. But as we get further and further away from it, I think there was some stuff going on behind closed doors. And I don't know, exactly what they were. We're not going to know, I think.
Do you think pertaining to the Ukraine war, or do you think other?
There's two things. I think there's two things. I think, the Ukraine war, obviously, and we are starting to hear some, rumors and kind of people kind of suggesting that Putin is got a list that if it gets agreed to, he'll stop fighting. But I think there's a lot of it was also commercial, which I think is disgraceful. I mean, I find that almost as objectionable to as the kind of glad handing and listening to Vladimir Putin's demands, because it's setting the stage for opening up Russia's economy again and letting them sell fossil fuels on the open market, which would only just feed their war machine. So even if they did stop fighting, let's say, sort of on one hand, you got the Russians to say, we'll stop at these lines and we'll stop offensive operations. America forces through a lifting of sanctions, and the money starts to flow for Russia, going directly into their armed forces. And who's to stop them from, in 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever years, taking that money back, putting it into their military, and then just coming back even stronger and in a better strategic posture. So the whole thing stinks. Whole thing
Well, I mean,
never should have happened.
what I found really crazy was, I mean, I watched it start to finish. I watched multiple different angles and different coverages from different media outlets, some Russian, just so I could get their kind of perspective on what was going on as well through translation and shit. And it's like, I never heard the word ceasefire. I never even heard what was reported by the Telegraph a couple days before this meeting that, Trump was ready to lift sanctions on the Russian aviation industry, give away natural resources from Alaska, give up, minerals from the occupied territories in Ukraine. Like, I didn't even hear any of that. I never heard the word ceasefire once. I never heard the word like retreat or surrender or, anything. It was a wild thing for me to watch. And you could tell, as it kept going on, the reporters were getting more and more confused and more like, what the hell is going on? Like, okay, so they're not answering questions. They told us they were going to answer questions, but apparently they just walked out. The demeanor and the body language I was talking about earlier, how even Newsmax went as far as to bring in some body language experts to detail the difference in the Donald Trump's body language at the beginning of the meeting, towards the end, after the backdoor meetings took place and when they were leaving. And it was very different. You know what I mean? It was a different Trump. He seemed defeated. He seemed like, he didn't get what he wanted. And I've highlighted the clip on this show where he said, if a ceasefire isn't agreed to on Friday by Russia, they will pay severe consequences. There will be ramifications, and I'd make sure to highlight it on the show so that people know when he doesn't inevitably enact any ramifications or any fucking further sanctions or anything for no ceasefire being agreed upon. That's just what this was. It was just, he's just chickening out. He's saying shit to say it. He doesn't really care about the end of this war. And he's more important. He was more, he wanted the handshake deal with Vladimir Putin to help his Nobel Peace Prize chances than anything else. You know what I mean? I don't think he gives a shit what happens here.
No, I don't think he does. I also don't think he understands what's happening here. Right. I don't think, the guy is not a considered thinker. And we'll see what happens with the meeting with Zelensky, but he fundamentally doesn't understand what's at stake here. He fundamentally doesn't understand what's happening internally within Ukraine, and also what it means for Russia and for Vladimir Putin. And he's a bull in the china shop. And you talk about the body language. Putin also was walking around strutting and looking like the cat that ate the cream. He was well,
because typically in those situations, the leader, the other person will have to either give up something or either there's some agreement on the table that these leaders will sign at the summit. Usually a summit isn't just, hey, you're fucking committing genocide, you're committing atrocities night after night, let's meet in my homeland and shake hands. Usually there's something to these summits that's supposed to be signed or agreed upon beforehand. The leader of the attacking country is supposed to give up some concessions or something in order to gain favor with the rest of the world again. Like, that's usually how these things go. Vladimir Putin had to do absolutely nothing. He gave up nothing.
Yeah.
I've
seen it happen both ways. I've seen world leaders meet to initiate a process of seeking peace. Or some sort of negotiated settlement. And then, but already, like, they would meet, they would say, we have decided that our foreign departments, whether it's the State Department or the Foreign Ministry or what have you, we are going to initiate a process. And then the world leaders step back, and the actual guys who crunch the numbers and sit down and look at maps and talk about resources and the nitty gritty, the minutia, and then the world leaders come back and they sign this thing. But this was, put together in a week. And what's the follow on? What's the next meeting that
that's why it doesn't
the lower echelon guys are going to be, the State Department guys, the ministry guys. When is that meeting going to happen? When are you going to start actually sitting around the table? No discussion of that, because it's not a process. They have no intention.
That's usually what I mean. Right. Usually there's like the lower people on the totem pole are writing the shit up behind the scenes, and then the two leaders get together to kind of put their fucking John Hancocks on it. You know what I mean? Shit's already talked about, which why it doesn't make sense for Donald Trump to say, oh, there's going to be severe consequences if Russia doesn't agree to a ceasefire in this summit. So it's like he was saying both things where he also didn't expect anything to come from it. But if they didn't agree to a ceasefire, there's going to be severe consequences. And, you know, this next meeting with Zelensky and Putin, he wants to be there now. You know, not only that, but his rhetoric in his Sean Hannity interview that night was more forceful and put more pressure on Ukraine and Zelensky than any of the rhetoric and anything that was said at any time during that Russian summit or that Alaskan summit to Vladimir Putin or any of the Russian team there. Like, he didn't speak that forcefully to them ever in that whole fucking meeting. And then immediately upon that, he goes on Sean Hannity to say that it's back in Zelensky's hands, when in reality, there's no deal for Zelensky to just waltz in and sign. There's no deal on the fucking table. You know what I mean? It's not like...
The other thing that Trump brought up was this bizarre idea he has that Zelensky makes the argument that he cannot cede territory due to the Ukrainian constitution. He doesn't have those powers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trump says, yes, but then he has the power to go and, you know, keep fighting and resisting peace talks and stuff like that. Again, completely not understand. It's true. Zelensky cannot give up territory without it going through the Rada and being ratified. So you know, he doesn't even understand that. And then he, you know, continuously puts the onus on Zelensky. It's Zelensky's the one who has to take the deal. You know, because of course Russia is an inevitability. Well, Russia isn't an inevitability. They're being ground up on the Eastern Front. I've got in the episode that we put out today, which admittedly, you know, runs real long because it's 10 people we interviewed, and I've got two people where this is really interesting. Is we have a member of the parliament, Kira Rudik, on the show as she heads up the show, and then at the very end, we have the head of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Ukrainian Parliament, who speaks with us for about 15 minutes, and both of them are expressing these concerns that America is going to try and shove something down Ukraine's throats that they can't accept, and they won't accept. And Rudik makes the point of, or in our discussion, we together kind of make the point of what America doesn't seem to understand, and what actually even Brussels doesn't understand, is that back in 2014, when Ukraine had the uprising on Maidan, which is referred to as the Revolution of Dignity, I've been coming here for 25 years. That was a watershed moment for Ukraine. After 500 years, they broke from being a colony and the mentality of being colonized, and so they're never going to bend the knee to Moscow again. That's a given. You're going to have to kill a lot more Ukrainians, and I mean like a lot.
Yeah, they'll just turn it into a guerrilla war.
It'll turn into a guerrilla war. There'll be partisans. There'll be mass prison camps because the Russians will just do mass roundups. You know, it will be horrific, and it will be because the United States betrayed Ukraine. So we're going to, and I've said this, look, you've watched me on a House Park show for quite some time, and I've said this to Hal, even back from at the beginning of the full-scale invasion. We don't have control over when the Ukrainians stop fighting. We only have control over how many Ukrainians have to die before they are either completely wiped out or they win this war. You know, they find some sort of acceptable, peace deal. That's the only thing we have control of. So this idea, and this is what pisses me off about Trump, and also a lot of other Western leaders, is this idea that they're going to come to Kyiv and say, You must accept this. And I refer to this watershed moment back in 2014 when they had the revolution of dignity and they kind of turned away from Russia, and then, Crimea was invaded and all that kind of stuff. The mentality broke. It shifted. There was a paradigm shift. We're not going to be a colony ever again. Not sure as fuck not to Moscow, but we're not going to be a colony to Brussels or Washington either. And some can say that's naive, but some, come over, meet some Ukrainians. They are stubborn people, and they have made the decision. I'm either going to I'm charting my own path, standing on my own 2 feet. Better to die on your feet than live on your knees. And it is a significant national mentality change that we're sovereign. We're never going to be dictated to again. So when Donald Trump attacks Zelensky in the Oval, or whatever the fuck is about to happen this week.
Well, did you hear they're already forcing him to wear a suit?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of stuff, the bullying. I mean, I suspect Zelensky will wear a suit, but pick your battles. But and I do know some Ukrainians who were like, even in the Oval, they were like, Zelensky kind of he didn't operate properly either, but he's our president, and so there was we can pick on him, you can't pick on him. If Trump tries to dictate to Zelensky and by extension Ukrainians, it is the exact wrong tactic. It is 100% the wrong tactic. You are talking to a people who have been traumatized for centuries by empire. They have been colonized by one empire or another empire or another empire, and they're done. They're done. They're sick of it. So if Trump, I almost said Putin, if Trump goes in with this tactic, if the State Department's advice to Trump is to kind of, you got to make them see sense. You got to make them, accept the deal. You got to force them to accept the deal. They will get their backs up and they will say, "Go fuck yourself."
Well, this is why it's so frustrating to hear Putin. I mean, Trump. I think we both keep mixing the two fucking assholes up. Yeah. When he talks about, Viktor Orban talking about how basically undefeatable the Russian military is, and like how it's a stupid question for Donald Trump to even ask if Ukraine has a chance in this war, and it's like you can tell how he has absolutely no idea. Like you just said, anything, no idea, no relation to the Ukrainian people. Right? He has never actually fucking spent time on the ground, talked to people there, found out what their fucking feelings are on this situation, and which brings me to what was the feeling on the ground? What was
Joe Biden, now, who came here when missiles were, we had an air raid sirens going on.
Right.
It was a very different time in Kyiv, and he still came here. Trump hasn't stepped foot here.
No, nor will he.
He's not going to.
No. But what was the feeling on the ground? I mean, obviously you're in Kyiv, you're in Ukraine, you're amongst the people. What was the feeling? Did you hear anybody any whispers around, the eateries or anything like that about the summit? Or
well, I mean, I've since Friday I've been working nonstop on.
That's true too. That's true too.
The show we produced, which is it's 2.5 hours of programming. So that was a lot of work.
So 6 hours of filming, or more.
But yeah, a lot more than 6 hours. But in the process of doing that, yes, I did speak to Ukrainians because I interviewed them. I spoke to Anastasia out in Kharkiv, who is an aid worker. She's an activist. She's involved in the information war. She famously slapped down some folks on Piers Morgan. But she's living in a city that even while those two jackasses in Anchorage were sitting down for canapé or whatever, in their comfy chairs, they were getting hit by missiles.
Right.
So what's she supposed to think? And she said to me straight up, not to give too much of the show away because I want people to go see it, but yeah. In other news, water's wet and ice is cold. It's like,
Yeah, right.
of course,
To be
of
expected.
course,
Yeah.
of course, and it isn't just Trump, although it is Trump, but it's also a sense of betrayal from the West. The West has not done this well. They have not put the support in that they should have done from the very, very start because they're terrified of the big bad Russian bear and his nukes.
Well, it's
And
the dribs and
so,
drabs that we're famous
yeah.
for, as opposed to just going for the gusto, going for the victory right off the bat. And that ultimately, typically in history, we find out that will save the most amount of lives is trying to go for victory as quick as possible, as opposed to a long, drawn-out conflict of just kind of, keeping the fucking gears churning, just enough equipment to kind of stay afloat, just enough fucking defensive weaponry to kind of keep people, feeling somewhat safe as it pertains to living that close to the front lines and the war zone and stuff. But that tends to again weigh on the minds of the people. Like we get fatigued here in the United States. If you look back in history in Vietnam and stuff, like we get very easily fatigued of situations like this if they continue to seem like a long, drawn-out conflict. Afghanistan, if it just seems like we're churning and churning and churning, not going anywhere. And I worry about that, where it's like, when does
not on the front pages anymore? Definitely not on
Right.
the front pages anymore. I
Right.
mean, we get the occasional spike because of a thing like this. We try to
Mhm.
capitalize on it to keep. Yeah, but no, absolutely, there are a lot of people who are. It's just, is that still happening? Is that war still going on? What? Well,
Right.
God, I haven't heard anything about it in months or whatever, stuff like that. Our
Which is
press corps
crazy
has
if you
done a
think about
shitty
the
job.
increase in drone strikes and missile strikes just since Trump has taken. I mean, the increase in attacks and the increase in violence and the increase in not giving a fuck we've seen from Russia since Donald Trump has taken over in this second term has only escalated exponentially. And you'd think that would draw more of the international eye to it. But when I guess you got shit like the humanitarian disaster going on in Gaza as well as in other places of the world, it's really tough to keep the public's focus on
And
what
make no
we
doubt,
consider its single major
make no doubt about it. That's all linked. That's all linked. The GRU is involved in Gaza.
Mhm.
Absolutely, 100%. The GRU is involved in little push, these conflicts and wars around the world because they're trying to just ratchet up the chaos, hoping that people will forget about Ukraine because this is central to their existence in their minds. So the whole thing is it's really bad because Moscow has been in the driver's seat more than the Western powers. And when we had Biden in, I had my criticism of the Biden administration's approach to this war, especially Jake Sullivan's position on we don't want to anger Russia too much, or they might nuke something, which was never going to happen. But at least Biden had resolve of a kind. He knew that the Moscow was the aggressor. He knew Putin was a bad guy. He knew that standing together as a Western alliance was one of the best things we could do. Trump doesn't give a shit about anything. He's completely transactional. So if they do reopen oil drilling and start pumping out crude and getting it back on the global market, Trump's just going to be like, great, fine, yeah, wonderful, more for us. And the other thing about Trump that I keep saying is we also have to. One of the things we also have to do, I firmly believe this, is admit that he's compromised. Trump is compromised by Putin, one way, shape, or form. I have my own thoughts on how deep that goes, but we cannot deny that Trump has some sort of admiration, respect, adoration fellow kind of view of the world as Vladimir Putin, and that's the commander in chief. Okay, that's POTUS. And so by even those measures, we should all be deeply concerned that he listens to Vladimir Putin more than he does to his own population. So the man is compromised. We have to accept it. We need to stop dancing around it because they've done such a great job of trivializing it and making it a conspiracy theory and the whole like Russia meme, and which he loves to trot out because it diminishes the seriousness of what is accused, and that is that Russia is actively engaged in an information war with the United States of America.
I mean, when you see how he talks about Zelensky, and then, again, in that Sean Hannity interview where he's touting what Putin is saying about our 2020 election that the Russians themselves interfered with. Like I posted that online. I was like, you're going to have to watch this at least 3 times to actually understand the insanity of this fucking clip. Like, to go and like to talk and like laud Putin for free and fair elections, right off the bat is fucking asinine. I mean, Anybody, you don't even have to be paying attention really closely to geopolitics or world news to know that Vladimir Putin and free and fair elections don't go in the same fucking sentence. But to then talk about an election that Russia themselves meddled in, and then talk about Vladimir Putin saying that Trump won it, and if Trump won it, there would be no war in Ukraine right now. The man that started the war saying that if the man that lost the election that Russia themselves meddled in had won that, there would be no, like, the insanity of that fucking clip. Like, I literally had to watch it.
KGB agent. He's a KGB. He told Trump exactly what he wanted to hear. He stroked his ego. I mean, like, do you really got it? Look, Putin is a formidable guy. He is a pretty shrewd fella. I think people overestimate his intelligence. He's shrewd. He's cunning.
Well, I was
don't know
shocked
how
to see he only
smart he
raised
is.
to lieutenant colonel in the KGB, which is a lot lower than people actually think that he, the level that he was at the KGB. So not hugely important there, but obviously got the training and the fucking, the systems down.
Well, he is cunning, and he is manipulative, and he's very good at handling. Because I mean, he was a recruiter. So he knows how to manipulate people and find their soft spots. But the fact that the president of the United States is so shallow of a human being that he sits there and goes, Sean, you got Putin told me this and Putin told me that, and also for shame on Sean Hannity as well. I mean, not that he isn't already up to his eyeballs in shame, or should be. But any self-respecting journalist should have said, Mr. President, why do you think it is that Putin was telling you all these talking points that you have said before? All he has to do is listen to what you said. Do you think Putin cares about mail-in ballots in the United States of America and how unjust they are?
That's what I mean. That's like the insanity of that fucking statement. Is just like there's so much to bring out of it too. It's like, okay, Putin free and fair elections don't make sense. He's talking about our elections that he meddled in. He's also talking about the war that he started not being a thing because like the whole thing is just like, what the fuck? Like, in what world are you living in? Which kind of brings me to my next question. As you were just talking about, Putin's cunning, his ability to manipulate and stuff. I've seen it talked about a lot, and I'll give my opinion on it just first, and then I'll toss it to you. But a lot of people, including some high-profile creators, are claiming that it was not Putin. They're claiming that it was a Putin double. Now, just before I toss it to you, I'll give my opinion on it. I don't think it was a double. I think this is the complete opposite situation that they like to use doubles in, which is really crowded areas where people can't really get too up and close to Vladimir Putin, where he's not really stopping for a long period of time and definitely doesn't talk for a long period of time. And this had all of the other things, like he met face-to-face with the bishop. People were in his face at the fucking summit. He spoke at the summit. You know what I mean? So it's like, unless they're getting fucking like uncannily good at this double thing, I don't believe for a second that it wasn't Vladimir Putin. What about you?
I think in this particular case, you're probably right. However, having said that, the reason why these things keep cropping up, this whole idea of his doubles, is it's been proven he uses doubles. He does. He
absolutely
100% has doubles. I mean, there were the case that I remember about 5 years ago, give or take, was that he went to somewhere in Central Asia, whether it was Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan or something like that, and within like 6 hours, he was at a meeting in Turkey.
So it's not even physically possible.
Physically, absolutely 100% impossible. And that's
I mean,
why
you're 100% right.
everybody said he's using doubles. So when this kind of stuff crops up, they do. But I think to send a double to meet with Donald Trump is not. I don't think that's realistic.
I just don't see why they'd have a reason to do so. They were under no threat. They've been given fucking access to Alaska. They're not. It's not like the ICC sitting there waiting to fucking round them up at the airport. You know what I mean? So they have no reason to. And you know, I'm no expert. You know a lot more about this situation and probably the use of it. But from what I've seen, it's typically in very crowded areas where there's a lot of hoopla. There's a lot of movement. You can't get very close to Vladimir Putin. If you do, you're not close to him for very long because he's moving. You know, he doesn't tend to speak for long periods of time when they're using these type of double situations. So that's just kind of my reading. And again, I don't see why they'd have any reason to use a double.
Or they'll do like a photo op sometimes. Sometimes if they go to some sort of minor partnership summit or something like that. I mean, they also kind of, you know, entirely possible that they mix it up, you know, that like Putin will deliver a speech and then he'll get out of there. And the double will be the one who goes for the family photo sort of thing, the kind of showy parts.
Intermingle.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, the reason why this keeps coming up is we know he uses doubles, but I don't think in this case that was what happened.
Yeah, just curious. Just wanted to get your take on that because I've seen it reported from people that, you know, from high profile people and people that supposedly have a lot of knowledge of the situation. And I just immediately was kind of taken aback by it, where I didn't really see anything over the top. I mean, there was a couple facial expressions from Putin that he made that, you know, aren't really on the book of facial expressions that you typically see him say, but he was also getting yelled. He's also getting questions yelled at him about killing people and, you know, bombing civilians. So he was probably in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation.
And even if they did send a double, which I'm with you on this, I don't think it was. But so what? You know, all that double has to do is bring, you know, a message from the real Putin sitting in the Kremlin and say, Donald, this is what you're going to do. You know, this is the message from Vlad that I am carrying, you know, to you. So it's the same result. I mean, the whole thing, everything that was done in the public sphere was kabuki theater. Everything that was done in the public sphere, and not only kabuki theater, but kabuki theater where Trump came off looking like the little simp. And you know, and Putin was the one in charge. But the public display, what we saw in public, was just so pathetically useless. You know, nothing came of it. But you know what happened behind closed doors? What happened in their little, you know, drive around in the Beast? You know what happened? What happened with the? I mean, the Russian delegation was something like 500 people. There was a second plane,
all wearing fucking CCP t-shirts.
Oh well, yeah, Lavrov in his CCP t-shirt.
Fucking
but, no, they were.
Could you be any more blatant in the fucking backhanded slap, though?
Just Lavrov. I'll tell you a quick story about Lavrov. So I was covering the Iranian nuclear talks in Geneva, and he was just running circles around everybody. He was making them dance to his tune, and they were all staying at the Intercontinental Hotel, and a friend of mine who was with the press corps was also staying in the Intercon, and he tells the story to me about he's rushing to meet a deadline or something, and the elevator gets to a certain level, the doors open up, and he bolts through the door because he needs to get to his room to file his report, and he steps directly on Sergei Lavrov's shoes, steps on his foot. And Lavrov, and he realizes what he has done, and he's like, "Oh my God, Mr. Lavrov, I'm so terribly sorry. I'm so sorry." And Lavrov, cool as a cucumber, steps into the elevator, pushes the button, and goes, "Yeah, you are."
I mean, as
He's
evil
cold.
and as
The
fucking
man, he's
dirty
got
as the
ice
man is,
running through his veins.
yeah, right. But you have to give him credit for his, the way
Oh,
he's
yeah.
gone about. I mean, you don't have to respect it, but I mean, you kind of have to at some point give the guy credit for how
Well, you have to
manipulative he's
acknowledge.
been and how
Yeah, you got to acknowledge his talents, and he is
right.
literally one of the best foreign service agents of
A
any
master
nation
manipulator,
working
master
on the
manipulator.
globe. Yeah, no, Lavrov is a really
And it's
dangerous,
that lack of
player.
compassion and empathy and sympathy that kind of gives him his edge, I think, too, where he just doesn't give a shit what means he has to go by to get what he has to get for the fucking homeland, for the motherland. He's gonna try to get it. But I wanted to show you this. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about just real quick.
Sure.
There was not only the documents thing that I put up on the screen here for a second, where they actually left some government papers in the Alaskan hotel found with like some names and dates and exact times, exact thing you don't want to be leaving behind when there's, Russian media figures and enemies of the state present. But there was also this that I like seeing, where the European leaders have agreed to join Zelensky for the White House meeting. European leaders will join Volodymyr Zelensky for his crucial meeting with President Donald Trump. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said on Sunday. So that's something good I want to see. But this is what I wanted to get to. This is the Daily Beast podcast, and I kind of want to get your take on this. And this is where Michael Wolff says that during this summit, he actually receives a text message from somebody in Trump's inner circle, and it just says one word. It just says "fucked." And I'm kind of curious, after I play where he says it, I kind of want to get your take on what you think that could possibly mean. So let me just see if I got this right at the right time.
Let me headline this first, because as I was watching the press conference, the Trump-Putin press conference, and Trump-Putin press conferences have become one of my favorite forms of programming. It's just so transparent. You just see what's going on, what's inside both of these people's heads. But as I'm watching this, I got a text from someone in the close Trump circle, and it just said one word: fucked.
Does that mean we're all fucked? Does that mean America's fucked?
Well, let's recap.
I mean, and he doesn't know, because he goes on to say like that was literally the only thing that I got from that text message was fucked. Now, what in your vast experience of this conflict, of these two lands, of the fight that's going on, what can you put in your professionalism? Like, what do you think in your professional fucking opinion was going on in the minds of the administration or the person in the inner circle that sent this?
Yeah, I mean, it's purely speculation, because a one-word text,
right,
could mean all sorts of things. My sense of
but
it.
just before you start, this goes along with the reporting from a lot of people like ABC, CBS, that were talking about the faces of people like Caroline Leavitt, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth toward the end of the meeting here, and they kind of looked, defeated. They kind of looked like something had changed from the onset of this meeting. So I think that's kind of a little bit of context, just a little bit. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think whoever texted Michael Wolff, and then the long faces in the State Department, what have you. I think that is, in essence, the realization that Putin's got Trump by the balls. He's whatever it is, whatever. Whether it's compromise or whether or not they've kind of agreed on some.
So basically saying we do not have the upper hand.
We are not in control. We're not in control. We're not the ones dictating things. Vladimir Putin is dictating things, and that's not ultimately. And I think a guy like Rubio, who I've lost so much respect for, even though I didn't have a lot to begin with, is that. I think there are people in the administration that realize that if we betray Ukraine, ultimately it's going to be really bad for us. It may not be in the short term. maybe Trump gets a couple of points from the kind of fellow travelers, the white nationalists and the guys who believe that the alpha male that Putin projects is the kind of guy we like, and we want to be like Russia. We want to be traditional and Christian and all the rest of it, not even understanding the real complexities and the reality of what that means. But that ultimately, this kowtowing to Russia is a real bad thing for the United States to do. And even if he gets those points for being like, and this is the thing that disturbs me most, because I live here, and I also, I've got friends and I know people who are on the front lines and things like that. When the video starts coming in, and because they're not, again, as I go back to the point I made earlier in our conversation, the Ukrainians aren't going to stop fighting. They're not going to stop fighting, because if they stop fighting, they get destroyed. Their whole identity gets destroyed. And also this sense of like, we are sovereign now. We are not going to live on our knees. But what will happen is we will start seeing on Telegram channels and whatever news outlets and whatever, we're going to start seeing some pretty horrific shit, and people dying that didn't need to die. And sure, right now, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world can say, not one more dime to Ukraine and, those warmonger Ukrainians. Well, when you start seeing dead kids, when you're pulling grandmothers out of the rubble of a building because the Russians just do not give a shit, and that had we provided them with Patriot missiles, maybe those people wouldn't be dead. It's not as easy as all that when you're the one who pushed for that result, to then turn around and say, well, only the Ukrainians should have given up, man. No, you're just going to see suffering. You're just going to see suffering, more and more suffering. And the Ukrainians, I mean, their capacity for suffering isn't limitless. I mean, I know people, I have friends and colleagues and people that work with me on the show who say, at what point do we say enough? No matter what, except a ceasefire that maybe 10 years down the road is going to be disastrous for us, but the bleeding has to stop. Everybody's got an opinion. Unlike Russia, this is a democracy, and people can express their opinion and hold their own opinions. You start getting out on the streets and protesting, or talking shit about Putin or the war in Russia, you're going to find
15 years.
Yeah, you're going to find yourself in trouble real quick. So,
and I was just showing on the screen, those were just comments, just for anybody that was watching. Those were just a little bit of comments that I screenshotted from the RSBN chat yesterday as Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump were meeting. And as you could tell there was a lot of them saying, Vladimir Putin is a great leader. This one says, Trump and Putin are a great team. The people in Russia look and act exactly like people do in America. They could be our brothers to our people, and no one should even tell the difference. No one would even tell the difference to the naked eye. We should be allies, not enemies. Goes on to someone that absolutely knows nothing about Russia or the people of Russia, clearly. But I mean, that there was sentiment like that all up and down of, OAN, Newsmax. I was in all of them trying to see, what the response was and what people were saying. And, if people were rightly calling this out for what it was. And there were some, I will give some people credit in these chats that were actually trying to get it across. I don't know if it was liberals just trying to, infiltrate, or if it was actual MAGA people that thought differently. But this was most of the sentiment. This was most of what you'll see in some of these, comment sections as it pertains to the meeting. So I guess my next question is, where do we go from here? What can we expect, or what are you expecting from Zelensky's meeting? What are you hoping comes out of it?
I'm glad to see Europeans are coming along, because then it's not, they're not just going to browbeat Zelensky. I've seen some of the comments yeah, sure. I've only spent 30 years studying Russia and living within the former Soviet Union, but yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I missed your question there. What am I hoping for? Where do we go from here?
Hold on. Do we got some? Do we have a troll? Do we have a fan?
We
Do you
might
have a
do.
fan in
I
there?
don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
All right.
I find it funny. Anyhow,
Yeah, basically, just
I
what are you
don't.
expecting from Zelensky's meeting?
I don't think anything good comes of this quote unquote process that was started in Alaska. I mean, we can go back further, of course, but I am glad to see Europeans are going to be coming with, but I think they're going to try and force Ukraine to accept something that is unacceptable to them. There's and I can go through a couple of specific points here.
Yeah, please do.
The Russians say that they've had referendums and that 5 oblasts or provinces, or basically just states, have voted to join the Russian Federation, and that would be Crimea, which was taken in 2014, Donetsk and Lugansk, which were and are still not fully taken, but have been fought over since 2014. And then there are these other 2 provinces called Zaporizhia and Kherson that have been hardly really touched at all. And it would be like saying, I've taken San Diego, so give me California.
Right.
And that's, I've heard I've heard Ukrainians say, look, Luhansk and Donetsk have been occupied for over a decade. They've been indoctrinated. They've been run by thugs in Moscow for over 10 years. It's potential, we might be able to discuss letting Luhansk and Donetsk go. Crimea is going to be a very difficult nut to crack because it's so strategically important. And because, I mean, it's in many ways the entire reason for the war is so that Russia can project its naval power from
they need
Crimean
those lanes
Peninsula
open to
and
get down there.
dominate. They've been seeking warm water ports for, well, since 1721 or whatever it is, when Peter the Great died and told Russia, you have to have a great navy. So Crimea is going to be a real difficult one to crack. And I've got a Crimean woman I speak to on the show that we put out today about this. And, she's still holding out hope. But, I don't know how you resolve that one. That is a Gordian knot. But again, the other 2, Kherson and Zaporizhia, those are non-starters. The Ukrainians will never accept the annexation of that, because then that puts them right on the river. It puts the Russians right on the river. And all they have to do the next time they have a massive military push is, once they've crossed the river, they're pretty much it's going to be a lot easier to get to Kyiv and Odessa, which are the 2 strategic points that they absolutely have to take if they position themselves on the river. So Zaporizhia and Kherson are non-starters. The other issue for the Ukrainians, of course, is the kids. You got to get the kids back. I mean, just this last week, we saw the Russians are so cynical about this that they've even set up a website when you can kind of do a mail order adoption. You can put in, I want a blonde.
It's remarkable how little has been said about this by the United States too.
Yeah. No, I agree. Russia will never have Odessa. And it's so cynical and deeply disturbing that, I mean, it's almost like, you expect these guys to go be in checking the teeth of these children and being like, how strong are your calves? Will you work good in the field? Sort of thing. It's just, it's
a reminder
really
of like the
unpleasant.
eye chart the Nazis used to have to go against, go look at Jews and see their hair color, their eye color. And, if they kind of matched up on the scale, then they were fucking rounded up immediately, type of thing. I don't really no different to tell you the truth. It's kind of it's
So
sickening that really has to
the
be brought
kids
up
have
more.
to come back. The kids have got that's no small thing. So it's the provinces, the kids. At some point, the Ukrainians are going to want to talk about reparations because they destroyed
Paying
billions
to
and
rebuild,
billions
yeah.
of dollars, and security guarantees. The Ukrainians are going to absolutely demand security guarantees that maybe not NATO, but maybe some other group of European nations. I'm looking at the Poles, I'm looking at the Scandinavians, would say, you start this up again, Vladimir, and we don't wait. We don't negotiate. We don't debate. We're in. No fly zone, troops on the ground, the whole thing. You know, Putin has this thing about NATO, and most Russians do. So, I've heard it floated some other security alliance that would include, basically, I would suspect, what used to be the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and the Scandinavians in that group to boot. So you have the Baltics, you have Poland, you've got Sweden, Finland, Norway. That's no joke, and you better believe, for better or worse, even when there is, or if there is, a ceasefire or a peace deal or whatever, Ukraine's going to keep building up its arms industry for a variety of reasons. Not least of which is because they have one of the best military industrial complexes on the continent right now, and a tried and tested military that could be used to train other nations in drone warfare,
In the necessity to keep revenue coming in,
Yeah, that, or other asymmetrical warfare techniques. So there's that, and already the Ukrainians are at a point where they're providing themselves 40% of everything that they need to conduct this war, which is, for a country like Ukraine, astounding. So I all of these things are going to have to be discussed. Russia's going to want to demand that NATO is nowhere near Ukraine. Russia is going to want to demand. Russia's also going to want to demand some crazy shit, because this is how their negotiation technique, and this is nothing new. I mean, they've done this for.
Yeah, they'll put up crazy shit when they say
What
they
they
won't
do-
agree to it. They'll blame them.
Right. We want the moon,
Right.
and if you don't give us the moon, we'll blow you up. Well, we can't give you the moon, but we've got some nice lunar rocks that we brought back
Well,
from
this
our
is
moon
your
mission.
problem, not mine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's they ask for far much more than what they really expect, and then they work back from there, and they hope to still get an advantage. And the
Well, what's
problem,
striking to me.
yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to finish up the thought by saying the problem with that is, as the great Professor Timothy Snyder says, there has, in every empire, there has to be a catastrophic defeat, or they do not lose their mentality of empire. The Brits went through this, the French went through this. The Russians cannot benefit from this war in Ukraine. They cannot have any, maybe they do get away with Donetsk and Luhansk, and I don't know what happens with Crimea. Maybe they get assurances that NATO will never be in Ukraine. Maybe they get these little things, but they've lost over 1 million men, either killed or catastrophically wounded. For what? For what? I mean, they have got to get a real spanking. Otherwise, they're never going to get rid of their imperial mentality, and then that just means that we'll fight them somewhere else, or they'll start a war somewhere else.
Right. Right.
It's-
Well, what's
they've
very
got to get
striking
their
to me
asses
from
kicked.
what you're saying is basically just how far away from actual peace we are. I mean, even in terms of even if a ceasefire is agreed upon, all the stuff that has to be agreed to after that to, you know, affect a long and lasting peace is so minute and detailed that like this is still a long time away. This is nothing that's going to happen tomorrow or the next day
I'm never getting
or
out of
anything
here.
like that. And then no, you will, buddy. And then another thing that stands out is, you know, the number of fucking casualties you're talking about. I mean, just to put it in perspective, I was talking on this show this week. I know a lot of people know, some don't, that my passion and you know, love for history is very specific to like World War II and stuff. So that's kind of my area of expertise. So when you talk about like the amount of dead and wounded people that we've seen in this battle so far, and then you compare that to say like a Stalingrad type battle where, you know, it's known as, if not the bloodiest battle in the history of warfare, but at least the bloodiest battle of World War II. And that was from like August of 1942 to somewhere in February, the beginning of February 1943, somewhere over roughly 2.2 million casualties, right? Now, if you take a look at the numbers, I mean, especially if you add in the Ukrainian casualties to that number, I mean, the timeline is different. The amount of time is longer. But we're talking a very substantial, a serious amount of dead or wounded soldiers that is very comparable to the bloodiest battle in World War II, if not in the history of warfare. We're not that far off, really, from those numbers statistically. And it really puts it in perspective just how destructive and devastating this war perpetrated by Russia on the people of Ukraine and on Europe really, really is. So,
well, look,
you know, Phil, go ahead.
I know we're kind of rounding up here, but look, let me. The reason I mentioned Odessa earlier, by the way, and I think this is really important to understand, is as we talked about the Black Sea Fleet, they kind of started this entire war in 2014 to grab Crimea so that it could have access to a warm water port. Problem is, as long as Odessa is still in Ukrainian hands, they can threaten Sevastopol. They can attack their surface ships. The Russians could, you know, they've got these submarine hangars built into a mountain in Sevastopol that they, you know, you could still use as a base of operations for submarines, but their surface fleet is no longer even located in Sevastopol. They've gone all the way over to the eastern banks of the Black Sea in Novorossiysk, where they're kind of bottlenecked in. Unless the Russians can take control of Odessa, then there's no point in even taking the so-called land bridge that connects mainland Russia to the peninsula, because you're still going to be threatened by Odessa. So ultimately, the Russians have to they have two primary strategic goals that they need to achieve. They need to achieve a friendly government in Kyiv, a friendly to Moscow government in Kyiv. Not going to happen. Never going to happen. The Ukrainians would pillory anybody who tried it. You know, even if Zelensky was assassinated. And they have to take Odessa. And in order to take Odessa, they have to cross the river. They have cities that they're going to have to go through. They fight for little towns out in the east that were built for like
they really
60,
haven't contended with a big city in a long time.
No, the last time they had a big fight in a big city was Mariupol. And yes, they did end up taking that, but it was a bloody, bloody fight. I mean, you remember the beginning, months of this war. The Ukrainians were kind of in a defensive position at a steel factory.
One just has to check out 20 Days in Mariupol. That
there you go, exactly,
shot there to see the scenes and devastation there.
Yeah, so in order for them to actually take so they fight over little cities like Chasiv Yar, Bakhmut, Avdiivka. The guys who are the mill bloggers and the kind of what I call the scrimmage line boys who like to look at maps and think that they know what war is like because they read maps. Every time Russia takes 10 kilometers, you know, they're like, "Oh my God, imminent collapse!" And it's like, no, man, I've been out there. The Ukrainians have miles and miles and miles of defenses, and the Russians have been losing tens, hundreds of thousands of men, dead or casualties, WIA taken off the field. And that's for 60. That's for towns that are built for 60,000 people. They haven't even gotten to there are towns in between where they are now and Odessa, which are built for 150, 200,000 people. Then you get to Odessa or Kharkiv, where we're talking to populations of over a million in Odessa. I think
Exponentially more
over two.
difficult. Yeah.
And the reason why I point out the population of these cities is not because I believe the population will put up a resistance, although that's entirely possible too. There'll be mass evacuations. Then that's going to be a huge refugee problem. Another thing we don't have time to really delve into, but that's going to, if there are mass Ukrainian refugees flooding into Europe, that's going to be a real problem for Europe, and the Europeans know it.
Right.
The reason I mentioned
well, they still have to
signs
clear
of
all
these
the
cities-
buildings in the city, like there's somebody behind every corner.
Well,
you know
that's
what I mean?
just
They still
it.
have to.
That's just it. I mean, and you'd think the Russians would understand a thing like a Stalingrad type siege better than anybody. I mean, they're going to go through these towns that will turn into absolute fortresses.
Right,
They'll
destroyed
lose.
cities turn into more. We've seen that at the Battle of Monte Cassino. We've seen that in multiple instances throughout warfare, where you think you're destroying this fortress, but in reality, you're making it more difficult for your own troops to advance. You're giving them more cover, more places to hide that you wouldn't normally look for, because now everything's all a jumbled mess and shit's everywhere. So, like you said, I mean, Stalingrad's a perfect example of that, where the Nazis just laid siege to it. The Luftwaffe just laid siege to it, and ended up making things 10 times more difficult for the Sixth Army and Paulus, and and it ended up fucking churning them up in the end. You know what I mean? Not that they ever really had a shot of taking over the city, but that just made it exponentially more difficult. You know what I mean? But you're 100% right. So I appreciate you joining us. I know you're a tired, busy man.
Oh,
Can you let everybody know
like a baby
where
tonight,
to
I'll tell you
find
that.
where to find your podcast, where to find you on
Well,
socials, where they can find you everywhere else?
Well, I'm Ittner Philip at all the I'm still on X. I sometimes wonder why. Blue Sky, same thing. But what we do is every Sunday we put out a video program where we interview somebody. It's normally about an hour long. Usually on a normal week, it's just one guest. But an hour before I came to talk to you, we debuted a 2.5 hour long program with 10 different interview subjects with different areas of expertise, reflecting on what happened in Alaska. So we've got Malcolm Nance. We've got we had John Sweeney, the former BBC reporter, who's written a number of books on Putin. We had members of the Ukrainian parliament that I previously mentioned, just average Ukrainians. We've got expats who are over here trying to help. Just all kinds of different perspectives. And it admittedly, it runs, it's 2.5 hours, but we chopped it up for each and every interview. And I hope people will go check it out. Certainly this episode, with the timeliness of what happened in Alaska, but go back and do some of our previous episodes. We got a lot of good guests. We have lucked out. We've been very, very lucky with some of the guests that we've had. Again, runs about an hour, these things. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. Kyiv time, which I think is 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. LA Pacific time. So figure out where you are in that spectrum. And look, we're just trying to keep Ukraine in people's minds. We're trying to platform Ukrainian voices, or platform voices of people who have a particular area of expertise when it comes to Ukraine or the conflict between Moscow and the West. And we're hoping to grow our audience, because the Western press is, as a former member of the press corps, has done a really shitty job of covering this story and keeping this story in people's minds. So if you want to have a better understanding of what's been going on here, I've been coming here for 25 years. I've been living in Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Nobody has the key to every question out there. But I've put in the time, and I'm trying to put out stuff that is both informative and really gets at the heart of the matter, but is also consumable and something that you can watch casually and kind of check it out. So it's just simply Philip Ittner at YouTube. We have another smaller channel where I also put it on with just the On the Edge programs, but I always put them out on my YouTube channel, Philip Ittner, all one word, one L in Philip, two T's in Ittner. And we're going to keep doing it as long as it takes, because this is the line in the sand between autocracy and Western liberal democracy. I believe that 100%. I think the Ukrainians need every inch of support and awareness. And so we try to personify them and try to steal the narrative away from Moscow, because Moscow is definitely winning in the information warfare landscape. So that's what we do.
We appreciate you, man, for doing so. It's a hell of a show. It's a hell of a series. The topics that you talk about are, like you said, extremely important to this matter, and the people that you speak to are even more important in getting out keeping the word in the spotlight, keeping the Ukrainian people in the spotlight. And I thank you for taking the time to come out and talk to me and talk to my chat once again. And thank you for giving me your insights. And like I said, you always have an open invitation anytime you want to hop on. If you got something to promote, if you got something you want to talk about, chat about, just feel free to reach out, and anytime you're more than welcome. So stay safe.
Thanks,
I hope to see you soon, my friend.
All right. Take care, man. Thanks.
Later, bud. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, guys. Philip Bitner, a good friend, live from Kyiv, Ukraine. Thank you so much to him for taking the time out of his busy schedule. Like he said, putting out his own podcast himself. Make sure to check that one out. I definitely would recommend to take a look at that one. I mean, it seems like he's put a ton of work into this episode. He's talked to a ton of people, people with great insight into this, giving you what they thought about the Putin-Trump Alaska disaster. Not only that, but probably some great insights as it pertains to some other areas of the war as well. But we're just a couple minutes over. Let me get into thanking some people, and I'll let you guys get on with your weekend. Thank you so much for sticking with me here. Right off the bat, thank you so much, Wes. Blessings. Oh, and I forgot right off the bat. Hold on. I believe it was Denise, right? Yes. Happy birthday, Denise. Denise, happy belated birthday. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of this family. We really appreciate you, and we wish you, we hope you had the best birthday ever. Not only that, but say hello to Turpy. Turpy, welcome back, brother. Good to see you. It's been a minute. Very good to see you in the chat. Make sure everybody's welcoming back Captain Turpy in the chat, one of our longest running, one of our OG mods in the crew. So good to see him back. But let me get into, again, thanking everybody. Thank you, Wes. Thank you, Pam. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, Charlie, for becoming a new YouTube member. Really appreciate you, Chuck. Really appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much for being here. Michael McAndrews, been here for 11 months. Let's fucking go. Seems like years. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Thank you so much, Susan. Good to see leaders flying in to attend the White House meeting to support Zelensky. Italy, France, UK, Germany, and Finland. Let's fucking go. Amen to that. Good to see some support being shown by the European leaders, especially after the way we saw Zelensky was treated last time. Well, one of the last times he was at the White House there. Thank you, Colleen, so much. Colleen says, peace, love, and strength to you, Mel, and Pup. Thank you for all the work you do. Thank you so much, Colleen. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys that are kind enough to contribute to this show, whether it be $1 or $2 or $5 or $10 or whatever the hell it is. It goes a long way, just like Bobby Slacks here with his $10 contributions. Thank you so much. Heroyam Slava. I will absolutely pass on the love to everybody. And thank you for being here, as always, brother. JD, gifting 5 like a saint. Thank you so much, JD. Linda Lou. Let's fucking go, Linda Lou, with another 5 coming in hot. Thank you so much. What's that say? Mr. Ed. Let's go, Mr. Ed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Butter emails. Appreciate that, my dude. I appreciate that. Coming in again is JD. Appreciate you, JD. Always keeping me Always keeping that swear jar full. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate that. Arizona Sunflowers, let's fucking go. $20 super chat. Thank you so much. How fucking kind of you. Love you, Brian. Good to see you here today. Philip, so glad you're okay. And in here on Brian's show. Good to be here with you guys today. Thank you both. No, thank you, Arizona Sunflowers, for taking the time out of your day to join us here and take your, to join the family here. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, Marcia. Love you, Boston Brian, Philip Ittner, and friends. Thank you so much for that. Nordez, as always, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. JD with another 20. Let's fucking go, dude. Crustacean Nation. Appreciate you, my brother. I really appreciate that. I really, really do. I really do. Tom coming in with the fucking big $10. Let's fucking go, Tom. You son of a bitch. Awesome show, Brian. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Trucker John will raid you, Brian, on Tuesday. I appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate you being here for 8 months. Let's fucking go. Let's see if I missed anybody on the old tubes of you. Oh, no. The old Mo's of Ven. Let's see here. Which would be Venmo. I'm just saying it like an idiot. Transactions. Let's see here. Nicole, thank you so much. Damon, thank you so much. And Nancy, thank you so much. Big shout out to Bicycle Mike as well. I hope Bicycle Mike is doing well in his recovery from his surgery. If anybody has heard from him, if anybody has any updates, please keep us posted and send all of your good vibes, your well wishes in the chat towards Bicycle Mike. Hopefully he is recovering nicely. And getting all the care and attention that he needs. So just from my chat to Bicycle Mike, we wish you the best, buddy, please. Oh my God, Jennifer, thank you so much. Oh, continuously great content. Appreciate all you do. Hope you, Lovely Mel, and Superman Logan have a great week. Oh, Jennifer, thank you so much. You were fucking amazing. How amazing is that? Thank you for the Venmo. You guys continue to be incredible at every turn. Adam, thank you so much. I appreciate all you do, brother, as a mod. Thank you, all the mods. You guys are fucking fantastic. Every single one of you, really. Mark, I know you're in here as well. There's Mark. Thank you so much, guys. Really and truly for keeping that chat a safe place, for making sure that people can engage and debate and get out their feelings without feeling like they're going to be, receiving any bigoted or violent rhetoric in return. So it really is a huge thing that you guys continue to make that chat a safe place. And I thank you so much for doing so and dealing with everybody, dealing with me. I really appreciate it. Let's see him. Hold on. Somebody, Roxanne says, Bicycle Mike, I did see him in a chat recently. He was healing, but it was very painful. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I hope it gets less painful by the day for him and anybody else that sees Bicycle Mike in any other chats. Let him know we're thinking about him. Let him know I was asking about him. All right. I appreciate it, you guys. Really and truly, thank you so much. Patreon.com/Boston Brian. There's a Venmo, or there should be a Venmo up in the corner, again, that you can take a picture of. Send a buck or two to this independent media station to help keep us going. Again, I gave up a full-time plumbing job, a 50% pay cut to do this full time, and stupidly moved to a state where everything is twice as expensive as Massachusetts. But that's neither here nor there, and that's my fault, not yours. But I appreciate every single single person that contributes in keeping this show running. I appreciate it. I will see you guys. Don't forget the new Wednesday show. New Wednesday, 1 to 2 p.m. here. Little quick 1 hour quick hitter on Wednesdays during the day. So please don't forget to check that out this week. I appreciate all of you. Again, happy birthday, Denise. What else am I forgetting? Anything? All right. Well, that has been Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. It is, again, Sunday, August 17, 2025. Get out of your seats. Get into the streets. Find your nearest protest. Find your nearest rally. Film and follow ICE wherever they are, wherever they go. Keep your head in a swivel. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. But again, keep your head in a swivel. Make sure you're staying safe out there. Fuck ICE. Abolish ICE. Free Palestine. Slava Ukraine. Heroyam Slava. Fuck Donald Trump. All the good stuff. Let's fucking go. This is the golden time. Again, should be the golden time for progressives and liberals and lefties. Never has one political party had more ammunition against the other political party in order to win elections, in order to demolish them in elections, than the Democrats and lefties and liberals now have against the Republican Party and Donald Trump. So let's fucking go. Let's continue to kick ass. Let's continue to take names, and I'll see you guys. Tuesday for the Tuesday show. All right. I love you. I appreciate you, and I will see you then. Take care, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Why can't I do this? For some reason, I can't get to the ending videos. Oh, Arizona again? Oh, come on. Brian, sorry you're suffering now. I'm not suffering? Oh, I mean, I'm struggling. I wouldn't say suffering. Struggling is the proper term. I wouldn't say suffering. I'd say there are a lot of people suffering worse than I am. But for some reason, I'm going to try to play the ending music. I don't know why it's not letting me do it. Outro, new exit. Oh, here you go. All right, here we go. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I will see you Tuesday for the Tuesday show. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you to Charlie Rizzo. Just became a $5 Patreon member. Let's fucking go, guys. Let's fucking go. Goes a long way. You can become a channel member for $2.99 just underneath me for the YouTube channel, or you can become a Patreon member at patreon.com/BostonBrian. I think that's a $5 to help out and become a member there, but that gets you involved in our Zooms as well. So our Patreon, our VIP Zoom coming up August 28th. We had a ton of fun on the August 14th monthly Zoom. It was an absolute blast. But yeah, we got our VIP Zooms coming up August 28th. And this is obviously the new show lineup, that new Wednesday show there at 1 p.m. Do not forget. All right, hit that bell. Let you know when I'm going live. I appreciate you guys. I will see you Tuesday. All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I appreciate you. Peace. Outro. This one. Bye. No. Play maybe? Play. It's not playing. It's not playing. Help. How do I do this? Let's see here. Play. It's not playing. All right, I'll try it this way. Play outro and stay in the studio.